Hey everyone, I thought today I would do a chatty video about traveller's notebooks, why I use them, how I use them, and also a little bit about me. So I've been keeping a diary or a journal since I was about 8 years old. I've got notebooks from around that time that are half empty, half filled with little notes I would use to write down and little drawings of things that would happen in my day and about family that I loved and things like that. So it's really nice to reminisce and look back on those, and I'm really grateful that from such a young age I had a passion for writing things down that I can look back on now that I'm almost 21. So I think that is something that's so special about keeping a journal or even a scrapbook or anything like that, really. Something for you to look back on from when you've documented a time in your life. And talking about documentation, that's also what I do as a photographer. I document life, I document people, I document things, and I suppose I also relate that with my diaries and my journals, and it's the reason why I love Traveller's Notebook so much, because I can think of a happy moment in my life, I can refer to one of the pages where I wrote it down, photographs that I took of that day or that time, and I can remember those dates. And I think it's such a wonderful thing to do, and I really encourage people to give it a go if you haven't before. Just try it, and why not just give it a go. So I always recommend keeping a diary or a journal. It's something that I've always done and I've always loved to do. I don't plan. I've never really been a planner girl. I know there are a lot of people that are, and I think that's fantastic, and I admire you if you are one of those people, but that is just not for me. I'm a journaler. I love to create art journals. I love to just be messy in my art journals. I love to just write, even though I've got a terrible handwriting. I love to just pour my heart out on my pages. That's just what I do, and that's what I love to do. Before Traveller's Notebooks, these are the kind of notebooks I would use. This is just a A5 notebook from TK Maxx that has lined pages in it. Just a regular notebook. I've got a few of these different coloured ones that I've always used to use, and just buy a new one whenever I ran out. So I was introduced to Traveller's Notebooks through Ali Brown, as many people were. I discovered Ali Brown on YouTube. I think it was at the end of 2015, at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. I always admired her passion for Traveller's Notebooks and journal keeping, and she just gave me the bug, to be honest, and I'm so glad that she did, because I absolutely love this community. I love Traveller's Notebooks. I'm so glad that I discovered Ali Brown as well. She's such an inspiration to my life, and I think she's fantastic. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't probably be making these videos right now either, because she's an inspiration for me starting my YouTube as well. So thank you very much, Ali. And so she would always talk about Chic Sparrow, and I'm lucky enough now to own 2 Chic Sparrows that I saved and saved and saved for, and bought off the buy sell trade pages on Facebook. But before then, I just realised I couldn't. It's an American website, and being in the UK, customs fees would just be extortionate, so buying directly from Chic Sparrow hasn't been an option for me just yet. So my first option was Meadowgate Leather. It's an A5 again. A5 was the first size that I kind of gravitated towards, despite standard being the standard size everybody uses, which is quite a lot more narrow than this. But in the UK, A5 is just as standard as you can get, really, with journals and things like that. So that's the size that I went for. And now, even though I've tried standard and narrow sizes, I have gravitated back towards A5, and I'm loving it. It is my planner piece. I thoroughly enjoy using it. There's so much more room in it for me, and I've got messy big handwriting, and I like to draw and doodle and sketch and watercolour, so A5 is the perfect size for me. Anyway, I keep drifting between different topics, so just ignore me. I bought this first Traveller's Notebook in January 2016. Mike, who owns Meadowgate Leather, had not long been making Traveller's Notebooks as far as I'm aware. There weren't many people at that time really talking about him in the community or anything like that, so I was proudly one of the first, really, to kind of own his notebooks and talk about it with so much passion, because I absolutely love his work. His work is incredible. So I received that in January 2016, early January, and I've loved it ever since. However, shortly after buying it, my nan fell ill, and she was really ill. She was in critical care in hospital, and every time I would visit her, which was every day, I would take this new Traveller's Notebook and I would take it with me in my bag, and it kind of became a comfort blanket almost, for me to just write in and to jot things down. It was my comfort blanket at the time, and because of that it's always been my comfort blanket ever since. And it's one of the many reasons why I love traveller's notebooks, because you travel with them, you can take them wherever you go, and that's what I do. It's what I've always done since I got my very first one, and I recommend that you do that. I think people talk about bonding with your traveller's notebook, which sounds really silly if you're not really into traveller's notebooks or journals, but you know, this thing that you're carrying around with you, that you are putting all your words into, your thoughts, it's really it's holding your life, it's holding your stories, and I think there's something quite magical about that, which is why I love to take mine everywhere with me, because if I want to jot something down or write about a memory, I can do that, and I just love that. I absolutely love documenting everything, taking photographs, sticking those photographs into my traveller's notebooks. I love documenting dates and times of things that have happened. I also love that leather ages with you. Obviously traveller's notebooks aren't solely made out of leather, there are also fabric traveller's notebooks and anything in between, but the ones that I own are leather, and leather obviously is a natural product and they age with you. They age how you kind of treat them, I suppose. The more you touch and handle your traveller's notebook, the more you carry it around, the more it's going to patina and change with the oils from your hands and things like that, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I love that that makes everybody's traveller's notebook so unique to them. And lastly, I thought I would just show you what I'm using now. If you've not already seen it, this is what I'm using. It's my El Rahir Leather A5 traveller's notebook. She has custom hand carved all of this and then hand painted it. I absolutely love it. I've recently uploaded a setup video, so if you've not checked that out, I'll link it into the description for you. I've recently changed a few things since doing the setup video, but again, that's how Traveller's Notebook works. You can customise them to what is easy for you and what you love, and so how mine is set up is constantly changing. It usually stays somewhat similar, but there will always be the odd thing that I'll change or add to, especially photos and things like that inside, so maybe in a few months or a few weeks I'll do another setup video. Anyway, that's all for now guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, and if you like my content please subscribe. Bye!